What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some rapid fire battles in the Great League Remix Cup, running a pretty glassy ABB style team with Salazzle, Shadow Dragonair and Shadow Latios. And yes, this team certainly does have a few core breakers, the most obvious being Carbink, but I'm going to tell you right now, it is absolutely okay to build a team that loses super hard against a certain Pokemon if you're not going to see that Pokemon too often. And I think across the entire day I saw Carbink 3 times, and yes, those were 3 battles that I couldn't really do anything about. But there were also so many wins that I picked up with this team because my opponents were either core broken by fire or dragons. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is the most underrated dragon type Pokemon for the Open Great League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we see Salazzle into Poliwrath, and as long as they're not running Mudshot, this actually isn't that bad of a matchup. What I will do is farm up to the potential Dragon Pulse. If the opponent throws before we get there, it is just an Icy Wind. I will let that go through, and then I'm going to bank all of the energy, swap into my Shadow Dragonair, but the opponent swaps at the same time. But luckily for me, this is a positive matchup as they come in with a Gligar. So I'm going to overfarm here, throwing just before they make it to the next Aerial Ace. Going to go for the Aqua Tail, and from this range, it will take them out. So the opponent uses their shield there. I think we've got a shield advantage. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm hoping I can Dragon Breath farm them all the way down before they make it to the next Aerial Ace. It will be very close, but unfortunately, they get to 1 HP and a Dream, and they can fire off an Aerial Ace. So they do grab my shield right back, but it doesn't matter. They come back in with the Poliwrath. I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw. I will outpace them to the next charge move. Well, actually, they should get their 1 turn before me because we had to use 1 turn to throw my charge move there, but they go for an Icy Wind. I'm going to stay Dragon Breath, falling down. They actually swap into a Lickitung. I am debuffed in my attack, but Luster Purge still does absolutely massive damage up against the Lickitung. You could argue that I should have swapped into my Salazzle there, gone for the Poison Fangs, and that way the Luster Purge would have KO'd. But either way, it doesn't really matter. We go for a Poison Fang here, just making sure we get rid of the Lickitung. They do get the counter farm down, but 1 Dragon Breath takes out the Poliwrath, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Venusaur in the lead. So my entire team does very well here. They swap into Mandibuzz, which, I mean, I don't have an overwhelmingly positive matchup with any of my Pokemon up against Mandibuzz. So we'll just stay in initially, go for the Poison Fang. We did farm to a potential Fire Blast, so hopefully we can grab a shield here. But no, the opponent does let that go through. I'm hoping with the Dragon Breath damage up against a defense debuff Mandibuzz, we can take them out before they make it to another charge move. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Now, I could also live an Aerial Ace from this range, but I will choose to shield it anyway since I know they've got a Venusaur in the back. So even if they come in with the Venusaur, they're not going to be able to farm me down. They will have to fire off a charge move to get rid of me, and I will make it to back-to-back Body Slams before they reach even a Frenzy Plant. So we go for the second Body Slam. The first one already grabbed a shield. The second one will go unshielded, and now I'm going to let the Dragonair go down, and what I'm actually going to do is come in with my Shadow Latios, get the Dragon Breath farm down, and we're going to see it's a Skeledirge in the back. So Skeledirge does have some decent tech up against Latios in the form of a Shadow Ball or Disarming Voice, but it doesn't matter when we've got such a significant energy advantage, as we can just go for the back-to-back Dragon Claws, taking out the Skeledirge, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Salazzle into Skeledirge, so I will just be safe swapping into my Shadow Dragonair, and the opponent's going to stay in, at least initially. We're going to go for an Aqua Tail, a bit risky as I throw on CMP. Typically, you do not want to do that up against an Incinerate user, because if the opponent then just doesn't throw their charge move, they can get a full Incinerate in for free. But now they're going to come in with Victory Bell, so they are clearly core broken by dragons once again. So we're looking pretty good here. We can grab the final shield with the Body Slam, and the opponent will actually get the Razor Leaf farm down, but it doesn't matter. We can just come in with the Salazzle. They're only going to make it to a Leaf Blade, and even if they're running Sludge Bomb, that wouldn't do much damage either since it is resisted. But Leaf Blade is going to be double resisted by the Salazzle, and we're now going to swap into our Shadow Latios. We've just got to be very careful here. I can actually live a Mud Bomb, so I will let the Mud Bomb go through. I'm going to overfarm as much as possible. The opponent goes for the catch there, and now I can fire off a Dragon Claw after going for a few more Dragon Breaths there, and I will still be able to make it to a Dragon Claw up against the Quagsire. Dragon Claw is going to do huge damage to the Quagsire, taking them out, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Whiscash in the lead, so not ideal. Going to save swap into my Shadow Dragonair straight away, and the opponent's going to respond with a Vigoroth, so that's not that bad for us. Obviously, I've got two Pokemon that do resist counter, so not ideal to have the Vigoroth aligned to my Dragonair, but we are still going to play this out. They're going to go for a Body Slam. I think they lagged a little bit there, so I'm actually just going to fire off my Body Slam straight away because I don't know how much they lagged by, so I'm not going to try and overfarm. We are going to go for that Body Slam, and we do grab that final shield. So at this point, I will let the Dragonair go down. I think they did throw straight away, so we can come in with the Salazzle, go for the full Incinerate farm down, and we do get that farm down there. We swap, and the opponent's got a Shadow Cradilly in the back, so once again, they are core broken by Dragon types. I can safely shield this up. The opponent's going to go for a Stone Edge, and now I get so incredibly greedy. I thought, oh, I can outpace them here, but no, they make it to another charge move. I tried to go for the full Dragon Breath farm down, and it absolutely cost me there, as now, unfortunately, a Dragon Pulse will certainly not be enough damage to take out a Whiscash. It does a decent amount of damage there, but I completely screwed that game up. Got so greedy, could have just fired off the Dragon Claw there, and still made it to a Luster Purge up against a Whiscash, so definite mistake there from me. But into the next battle, and GG's to that opponent, by the way, we're going to see a safe swap with Jellicent. Now, Jellicent does also core break my entire team, but the Dragon Breath damage really does chunk, and here they're running Bubbles, so we're resisting the fast move damage. They are slightly slower to make it to the charge moves. Well, I mean, if they go for a Shadow Ball, then it's still going to take 5 each time, but if they go for a Surf and a Shadow Ball, it does take 1 longer. But here I thought there's no point throwing my charge move there, might as well just save it for the Abomasnow, where it will do a lot more damage. The opponent probably going to let the first one go through, as we do of course have a Fire type. I swap, I tried to catch the move there. The opponent swaps at the same time, but fortunately for me, they've got Poliwrath in the back now. Once again, we are resisting the counters. We go for the Poison Fang, grabbing a shield from the opponent. We make it to a second Poison Fang, and Poison Fang will be dealing big damage to the opponent there. As the opponent goes for the Scald, we can just fully Dragon Breath farm them down with my Shadow Latios. They will be able to throw a charge move straight away with the Abomasnow, but we've still got a Body Slam loaded on my Shadow Dragonair, so it doesn't matter where the ball easily one-shots us, but we can go for the Body Slam, and they are low enough where Body Slam will be taking out the Abomasnow, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Salazzle into Golisopod. Now, I've got 2 dragons. In the case of like fairly neutral matchups, I will typically try and swap into my dragons, as you know, if they've got something in the back that does very well up against dragons, then usually Salazzle is a pretty good counter. Of course, I've mentioned already Carvink is not the case, because Carvink gets also destroyed by the Rock Throw damage and Rock Slides, but here they come in with a Charger Bug. That's not that bad of a matchup for me, but if they go for an X-Scissor, I will just let the Dragonair go down. We've grabbed a shield advantage, and as well, if the opponent wants to throw straight away, before I get the Incinerate damage to register, then this is just going to be another X-Scissor. So I'm actually going to bank all of that energy, come in with my Shadow Latios. We've already seen they don't have a great response to Dragon types. They do have Golisopod, which is hitting for super effective damage with the Shadow Claws, but I can just go for the Dragon Claw before they make it to the next charge move, safely shield this up, and they are in Dragon Breath farm down range, and we're about to find out what the final Pokemon is. It's actually a Jellicent, so not ideal for me, but we should still be fine for us here. So we go for the Dragon Claw, dealing huge damage, and we've actually got a Dragon Pulse loaded. I couldn't remember. I just play it safe. I go for the extra Incinerate there, because even if they had back-to-back Surfs, we then win CMP, so you might as well just go for that extra Incinerate damage, taking them out with a Dragon Pulse, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Salazzle into a Skeledirge. So once again, it's not that bad of a matchup, but I'm going to swap into my dragons anyways, and here is a Carbink. So not ideal, but you can see it's only 1347 CP, so I'm at a fairly low elo range, so that's why I wasn't really expecting to see too many Carbink, because it is quite a large investment in terms of like grinding actual catches for Carbink, or walking it if it's your buddy, I don't know. But yeah, so in this elo range, you're probably going to face a few more sort of casual players, so I didn't expect to see too many Carbink. I did only see 3 of them. Here, I thought about just fully sacrificing the Salazzle and hoping my Latios could sweep in the end game, and I make a bit of a mistake in shielding there, because they actually get me really low with the Rock Throw damage. I can just go for that Dragon Pulse straight away, hopefully grab a shield, but instead I go for the extra Incinerate, and you're going to see these Incinerates, whilst they are resisted, they're going to be able to fully farm me down, and that is not ideal. I wanted the opponent to throw their energy, but now they're just going to make it to 100 energy. They can fire off back-to-back charge moves. There's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to let the Shadow Ball easily one-shot the Latios there, and we do unfortunately lose that game, but GG's to that opponent there. I don't know what that third and final Pokemon was, and maybe if I did just save my shields for the Latios, I could have won, but also the Incinerate damage, even though it's resisted up against Latios, certainly does add up over time. But here into the next game, we see Vigoroth in the lead. Gonna shield the first move there. The opponent threw, I think, straight away, so I'm actually gonna swap, snipe with my Shadow Dragonair, and the opponent's gonna come in with a Shadow Golbat, so we can just barely outpace them to the Body Slam, since I did get a few Dragon Breaths off up against the Vigoroth. So we grabbed the shield there from the opponent, and they did build to a Shadow Ball, but I expect it to be a bait, and it is just a Poison Fang. Can we reach another Body Slam in time? Yes, we are barely able to do so. Absolutely huge, as this will grab the final shield, and we put them into range where even a resisted Poison Fang should be KOing. So I'm just going to throw straight away with my Salazzle, and does it KO from this range? The answer is yes, it does. And the opponent's got a Galvantula in the back. So well, I was going to go for the Poison Fang there. I was expecting the opponent to just quit the game, but instead they just stop attacking, and we just go for the Incinerate, farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Charizard, Shadow Charizard. So I swap into my Shadow Dragonair just because we can deal huge damage with the Dragon Breaths, but the opponent's actually running Air Slash, which is certainly not the ideal move you want to run. Typically you want to run the Wing Attack, but maybe Fire Spin did get a buff this season, so that might be slightly viable. And even Dragon Breath's probably better than running Air Slash, so either way, we're going to be able to go for the Dragon Breath farm down, and if they come back in with the Charizard, I'm happy to double shield my Latios here, and go for a full Dragon Breath farm down, and hopefully Latios, with a significant energy advantage, can beat whatever is in the back. They actually come in with a Whiscash, so I'm going to count to 5, swap, and catch the double super effective Mud Bomb onto my Salazzle, knowing Salazzle is absolutely useless here, and now if we can grab the shield with the Dragon Claw, I should just barely be able to outpace them to the Luster Purge. So I'm going to go for it on the CMB tie. Does this KO the Whiscash? Yes, it does, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see Salazzle into Skarmory. So an amazing lead for us. A bit annoying though, because if they do swap out straight away, obviously the Incinerate, we will be stuck in that animation. But they're going to swap into Cofagrigus. I actually don't have an incredible response here, so I'm actually just going to go for the Dragon Pulse, and because they let that go through, I might as well just stay in here. There's no point swapping into my Dragonair, because then I just allow the opponent to farm me down with their Skarmory, which is not ideal. So I will pretty much swap straight away, and I make a huge mistake. Typically, I just blind swap into my Dragonair. I actually watched what came in and still swapped into the wrong Pokemon, as an X-Scissor just fully one-shots us, and we have just like massively thrown this game. Obviously, we can come in with the Dragonair, and I can tank whatever they throw, but they bank a Discharge, which is a smart play from the opponent. We're now going to go for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be doing some okay damage, hopefully put some into farm down range. They've still got 2 shields though, and they Charge Reloaded on their Charge Bug, so we got to be very careful here. I'm going to swap back into my Salazzle. Could have gone for the Poison Fang there, but not really any point since it is going to be double resisted. I'm now going to go for the Dragon Pulse because I need to get rid of the Skarmory here or force the final shield, and we do force that shield now. They still got enough health here where I'm hoping I can Dragon Breath, farm them down, and come out with a Charge Move loaded, but the opponent recognizes that's my win condition, so they stop it. They swap back into their Charge Bug. They even go for a resisted Discharge just for the sake of it, and they do take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, very well played. Into the next game, we see Mandibuzz in the lead. So once again, pretty neutral lead, which I think we probably do just slightly lose. So I will eventually just swap into my Shadow Dragonair, but I'm going to farm to the potential Fire Blast. Go for the Poison Fang here. Poison Fang, hopefully grabbing a shield. It does actually grab a shield this time, which is pretty huge for me. We now come in with the Shadow Dragonair. The opponent goes for the Dark Pulse, which does quite a lot of damage. They then come in with a Vigoroth. I'm going to fire off my Body Slam pretty much as soon as I get there. Body Slam will go unshielded, and unfortunately, they will get the counter farm down. But I think they might be in 1 Dragon Breath farm down range. So I'm going to come in with my Latios, hoping to snipe, but once again, they live with 1 HP and a Dream. I'm going to have to shield the Rock Side, as that would do quite a lot of damage. They now come in with Skarmory, which is certainly not good for me, and I had to throw here, or at least I felt like I had to throw, because the opponent would have made it to a Sky Attack before I made it to the Luster Purge. But you can see even resisted damage. That did huge damage there with the Dragon Breaths. We're now going to full send a Dragon Pulse once again, needing to KO. The opponent uses their shield, but they overfarm, allowing me to make it to the Poison Fang. Poison Fang takes them out, but we're so low, they can get the full Steel Wing farm down. But Shadow Latios makes it to yet another Dragon Claw, taking out the Skarmory, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Salazzle into Jellicent. So once again, Jellicent, a bit of a core breaker to this team. Gonna save swap into my Shadow Dragonair, and the opponent has another really difficult Pokemon to deal with in the form of Steelix. I'm gonna go for the Aqua Tail here, and if the opponent commits to the full Dragon Tail farm down, I will just barely make it to a second Aqua Tail, which is pretty huge as I will grab a shield advantage. Now, if the opponent goes for one extra Dragon Tail before throwing a Charge Move up against my Salazzle, this is enough for an Earthquake, but I don't expect them to send that. They're probably running Psychic Fangs, and it is just a Psychic Fang, so I'm going to let that go through. I'm going to shield the next one as Incinerate will take them out, and then I can go for a Dragon Pulse up against the Jellicent, and then it just depends what their third and final Pokemon is. Dragon Pulse is going to connect, it does big damage, it puts them into farm down range, so we can just safely shield this up, and hopefully it's something we can be in the back, but no, it's another Carving. And yeah, that was pretty much the worst team I could possibly face with my team. 3 core breakers to the entire team, so GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see the opponent swaps into Whiscash. We come in with our Shadow Dragonair, and I've already forgotten what was in the lead, but it probably doesn't matter too much. I think we're going to go for a Body Slam just before they make it to Mud Bomb number 2, and the opponent is going to use their shield. So at this point, I think I'm just going to let Dragonair go down. Whatever was in the lead, I felt like my Shadow Latios must have a fairly good matchup up against it. So I'm going to come in with my Latios here, go for a full Dragon Breath farm down, and I will have to use my shield. The opponent did actually farm to a potential Scald here, so they are going to go for the Scald, but luckily for me, they don't get the debuff, which is huge. They come back in with their Charger Bug, so I'm going to go for a Luster Purge here, and this is going to do so much damage if they no shield, but Luster Purge does get shielded, and I actually found out in this battle that Luster Purge has a chance to drop the opponent's defense. I've actually never seen that before, because every single time I've used Luster Purge, it either KOs or I've just gone down straight away, so I don't actually see if there are any effects when you throw the Luster Purge, because typically you can just go Dragon Claw in pretty much any matchup here, but the opponent is going to go for the Charge Move. I realized it was a CAP tie, so I don't want to give the Charge Bug any extra farm by potentially farming down my Salazzle, so instead I undercharged that fully. We can now go for a Dragon Claw, taking out the Charger Bug, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Shadow Poliwrath in the lead. So once again, resisting the counters, going to resist an Icy Wind if they do throw straight away, but the opponent does actually farm to the potential Scald this time around. So I'm going to play it different, go for the Poison Fang there. I'm now going to go for the extra Incinerate, and then I will swap into my Shadow Dragonair, shielding up the Scald correctly. Honestly, from that range, Icy Wind probably does take us out, but doesn't really matter. We get the snipe there with the Shadow Dragonair, and the opponent's going to come in with a Charger Bug once again, and this is amazing for me, because we are keeping Charge Bug away from our Shadow Latios, which is the worst matchup of the 3, even though of course if we have shields in play, we probably can just fully Dragon Breath farm them down. But they go for the X's are here, and can we make it to another Body Slam? Yes, we can on the CMP tie. I fully expect the opponent to just let this move go through, and that's exactly what they do. They're going to come in with a Clodsire. They've got a shield advantage, but Salazzle is 1 Incinerate away from a Dragon Pulse, so if I just come in straight away with my Latios, go straight Dragon Claw here, you can see these Dragon Breaths are really chunking. Shadow Latios does have quite a high attack stat. They full send the Earthquake there, so I will be able to outpace them. I actually threw on bad timing there, but it's not going to matter, as a Dragon Claw will grab the first shield. This Dragon Claw should be grabbing shield number 2, and as long as the opponent doesn't overfarm massively in this matchup, we should be able to make it to a Dragon Pulse on my Salazzle. So Earthquake takes us out, but we do get to the Dragon Pulse in time, and this will easily be enough damage from this range to take out the Clodsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, and into the next battle, and shout out to this trainer. I thought at the time this is a pretty spicy team, and you're going to realize why at the end of the battle, but they're going to come in with Jellicent. Okay, Jellicent isn't too spicy, but just wait until you see their third and final Pokemon. We are going to overfarm here. Once again, they are running Bubbles, so I can, well, obviously, if they go for a Surf bait, then I can go for a few extra Dragon Breaths, go for the next Aqua Tail, and Aqua Tail does grab a shield. At this point, I'm just going to let the Shadow Dragonair go down. Shadow Ball will be taking us out. I'm going to save my shield for my Shadow Latios, because I know that Crocodile isn't going to do much up against the Latios, so we get the farm down, and the opponent is going to come in with their Crocodile, so I'm going to overfarm here, going for the Dragon Claw just before they make it to the Charge Move, and then I will overfarm. I expect the opponent to go for an extra Incinerate, so I'm now going to swap into my Salazzle. I swapped 1 turn early so I can get the Incinerate through. They go for a Crunch, and the opponent is going to get outpaced to the Charge Move, move, so they swap, they bank the energy, but it's a Poison Fang landed on a Wash Rotom, which is a really spicy pick. And we're now going to go for Poison Fang number 2. This will be taking them out. They do have a charge move loaded. They're going to go for the Incinerate Farm Down, but it's a simultaneous KO, and we're able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent, and it was Pyropori, who is actually a multiple-time Battle of Spies winner on the channel, so that's why they were running such a spicy team, or not why, but they are well known to run spicy teams in the Go Battle League. So GG's to that trainer. We actually just hit Ultra Friends there, which is pretty cool. But we are now going to see a pretty hard counter team so far as they come in with a Dugong. They farm me all the way down. We're now going to come in with a Salazzle. Unfortunately, going to have to respect the damage for my Drill Run. It is the Drill Run. They will make it to another charge move here, but I thought I might as well just go for the full Incinerate Farm Down, and I will be able to double Poison Fang the Dragonite coming back in. And honestly, I make a pretty big mistake here. I go for the first Poison Fang, and then I just choose not to throw my energy. I thought maybe they try and overfarm, but I was wrong. I could have possibly grabbed the final shield there. We do get the Dragon Breath farm down, and it's a Poliwrath in the back. So if we grab that shield, I think honestly a Dragon Claw would KO from this range. So big mistake on my end, but GG's to that opponent there as they're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Salazzle into Skeledirge. So once again, going to Safe Swap into my Shadow Dragonair, and the opponent's going to stay in initially before swapping into Mandibuzz. So Mandibuzz, like I've said already, pretty neutral up against my entire team. Obviously Latios does struggle since it is a part Psychic type, but it doesn't really matter. Dragon Breath still do chunk, but here we're going to go for the back-to-back Body Slams. And unfortunately, they do just barely hang on. So they can go for the charge move here. They're going to full send the Dark Pulse. That doesn't quite KO, but they do still make it to another charge move. At this point, there's no point in shielding this up. I can still get an Incinerate in for free as we farm them down. And the opponent's going to come back in with a Skeledirge. They don't throw straight away, which is huge for me because Salazzle does win CMP. We go for the Dragon Pulse. We grab the shield there, and we still got both shields remaining. So I feel like it's highly likely that the opponent baits with a Disarming Voice, and that's exactly what they do. And now at this point, I'm happy to let Salazzle go down. They actually go for Crunch, so they're not running Shadow Ball, which is really interesting, but we can get the Dragon Breath farm down, and the opponent's got a Venusaur in the back. So once again, another team core broken by Dragon types. We can just safely shield up the Frenzy Plant, and we can make it to the back-to-back Dragon Claws. One Dragon Claw will be enough damage to take them out from this range. They actually used their final shield there. I'm not sure if they realized how much energy we had, but Dragon Claw will be taking out the Venusaur, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Salazzle into Whiscash. So obviously an awful lead. Going to Safe Swap into my Shadow Dragonair. And the opponent's going to stay in with the Whiscash. So they might not have a great response here. Probably going to chip and dip. And they are going to go for the Mud Bomb before swapping into Charge Bug. So once again, another team sort of core broken by Dragonair, or at least Dragon types in general. We go for the Body Slam here. And unfortunately, they do make it to the next charge move one turn before we get there. So I'm going to let that move go through. Come in with my Salazzle and go for the Incinerate farm down. Actually, no, I come in with my Latios here, and I do just barely get the Dragon Breath farm down, which is absolutely huge. I know my Salazzle is pretty useless up against a Whiscash, but fortunately for me, they come back in with the Whiscash, so they must be very weak to Dragons in the back. We've already seen their best response to a Shadow Dragonair was a Charger Bug, so I'm going to shield this up as they go for a Mud Bomb. And we're now going to see that Skeledirge is their third and final Pokemon. So it's looking pretty good for us. We go for the Dragon Claw. It does connect. I'm now going to swap and catch the move and also get the Incinerate in for free. And once again, the opponent's going to go for Disarming Voice, which is double resisted by the Fire and Poison typing. We can now go for a Poison Fang. The opponent has to shield this up because otherwise I can very easily Dragon Breath farm them down. But either way, I still will get that Dragon Breath farm down. So the opponent goes for a Mud Bomb. I'm going to go for the farm down. The opponent throws their energy here. We've still got a shield, there's no point in doing that, but Dragon Breath takes out the Whiscash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Skarmory in the lead. So pretty good lead matchup for us. The opponent's going to swap into a Shadow Gliscor. I'm just going to go straight for a Dragon Pulse here. I feel like this might even KO, and it does come incredibly close, but it barely doesn't take them out there, which is really unfortunate. Now they can go for a Night Slash. They get the boost, which doesn't seem like much, but actually those two boosted wing attacks did quite a lot of damage up against our Salazzle, and we're going to see the third and final Pokemon is going to be a Gligar, and they're also running Night Slash on Gligar, so very interesting. We're going to go for an Aqua Tail here. I'm expecting a shield, and then for the opponent to bank a little bit of energy, swap back into the Skarmory, and that's exactly what they do. We're going to go for an Aqua Tail here. I don't think I'm going to make it to another charge move, so unfortunately they will get get a very nice farm down, but even then I don't think they can make it to back-to-back charge moves, so we're going to come in with the Salazzle, go for the full Incinerate farm down, use my shield here, and what I probably should do is bait with a Poison Fang, because even though Poison Fang is resisted, it would still do a decent amount of damage, and obviously it does debuff their defense. The opponent does use their shield. We come in with our Latios. We already know they're running Night Slash, so Night Slash is going to do a lot of damage, and they get another boost there. They do throw straight away, so we might still have a chance. It just depends. Does Incinerate take them out? It's very close, but they live with about 2 HP remaining, and they're able to wing attack, farm me down, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. I certainly could have played that a little bit better and possibly could have won, but it is what it is. And into the next game, we're going to see a Shadow Quagsire in the lead. So once again, not a great lead for the Salazzle, and even worse, they come in with Jellicent, where they can completely wall the energy, which is a smart play by the opponent, not ideal for my Dragonair. I'm going to go for the back-to-back Aqua Tails, and even with resisted Aqua Tail damage, it's mostly the Dragon Breath that has added up, but we put them into the red health range, so I think Salazzle should just barely live a Surf from full health. So I'm going to No Shield. Obviously Mud Bomb would do more damage. I'm now going to swap into my Latios, and we do get the Dragon Breath Snipe, which is huge, and they've got a double Ghost backline with Skeledirge, and Skeledirge is not going to appreciate the Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw damage, as we go for the Dragon Claw, grabbing a shield from the opponent. At this point, I think my win condition is fully Dragon Breath farming them down, shielding up the next Disarming Voice, as I could have thrown there, but then I don't make it to back-to-back charge moves up against the Quagsire, so no real point in doing that. Instead, what we're going to do now is go for the first Dragon Claw, throwing after 1 Dragon Breath, and we should just barely outpace the Quagsire. It just depends. Does Dragon Claw KO from this range? It looks like it will. And the answer is yes, it does take them out, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.